Hi, I'm at World Economic Forum. I have a very special guest with me. I have Shashwat Goenka from RPSG Group with me. Shashwat, thank you so much for joining us, and pleasure meeting you in Davos. I think a meeting in Davos is easier than meeting in India.
The pleasure is all mine, Mihir. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. Now, this year also what we have seen is there is a lot of excitement at Davos, and especially about India with so many states participating, and we have seen a lot of buzz in India Pavilion as well. What is your experience this year in Davos?
So I think this year definitely, the energy is much more amped up. There is a lot more conversation across nations, and honestly in every room that I have been, India has stood out. It's not really about having special sessions for India, which they do anyway. But what I've noticed is no matter the conversation and the topic, India is part of every conversation almost, right? And so, which is a shift from the previous years where we always spoke of India as the future, but it's obvious that India is now and the future. And I think that transition has happened now. And I think all kudos to, honestly, our Honorable Prime Minister. I think with the kind of policy consistency that he has driven over the last decade and a half, in terms of driving the right strategic points for what will lead to superlative growth vis-a-vis other economies, which is why we're the fastest growing economy in the world. And I think that's reflecting here as well, where people are seeing not just India as growth, but India as a very good economic opportunity. Businesses are viewing, globally businesses are viewing it like that.
Right.
And it's not just the opportunity, but the fact that they can't even think of existing without having presence in India, which is a big shift.
And especially in a very volatile geopolitical and geo-economical scenario, I think India is a beacon of hope, fastest growing economy, large economy. So I think that's also reflecting.
Absolutely.
Right. So what are your priorities now? What are you going to, in next couple of quarters, what are going to be your key focus area sectors? Any new takeaways from Davos for you?
So for us at RPSG, the focus is going to be in three key sectors, which is renewables, chemicals, and IT-enabled services and AI, right? And I can walk you through each of these.
Right.
So as far as renewables is concerned, we are looking to set up 10 gigawatts in the next 5 to 6 years, which is going to be a combination of wind and solar hybrid projects. And then we'll add on battery to it, which will also provide FDRE and RTC power in a way, which is very important from an India standpoint. So that's going to be the first thing. Second is there's going to be a lot more investment and growth coming up in the chemical space, where we're expanding not just carbon black capacity, which is our core chemical, but also all the newer specialty chemicals that we've added in. We've just started off our project in the second plant in Tamil Nadu. We're also now launching in Andhra. So there's a lot of expansion that's happening there as well. And then third is First Source, which was originally a BPO company, transitioned to ITES and now transitioning to AI-led services. And here the focus is going to be on one, of course, how can we get clients which are going to be much larger in size, and over the last 3 quarters we've been able to demonstrate that, and we have a very strong pipeline. But more importantly, how do we increase our margins in the business, and also how do we kind of transition from full-time employee-based concept of BPO to an AI-led services model, because that's going to be the real pivot for this industry. And that's what's going to make it move from sunset to sunrise again. So that's the 3 key things that I think are going to drive growth for us at RPSG. And you kind of added on to your question that, what are trends that you've been picking up here in Davos, which we're translating into business. And I think 2 clear trends that I have picked up, at least so far between last evening and today, has been essentially around, one, sustainability, renewables, that entire push on sustainability. And the second thing I picked up is on AI. And again here, last year the conversation on AI was very, what's going to happen to the world with AI, right? And AI was proliferating across every sector last year. But I think what we are seeing now is it's a given. It's about, okay, AI is the base. Now what next? What can we build on it? And how can you build something that is going to be significantly higher in terms of growth, better in terms of job creation despite AI, and better in terms of profitability? And I think that's what I've been picking up.
Right. Shashwat, as an entrepreneur, are you concerned about the volatile geo-economic environment that's prevailing right now? Because that's one thing which I have picked up in all conversations at Davos, that people are concerned because it's, you know, it's not a passing phase now anymore. It's having a lasting impact on the way global economy operates.
See, I think the geo-economic, the geopolitical situation is what it is, right? And I think, honestly, the topic for the World Economic Forum, which is the spirit of dialogue, is very, very timely, because honestly, that is the need of the hour. Having said that, when I look at our businesses, thankfully we are fairly insulated and we are not very much affected by a lot of the tensions that we are seeing. But I think what comes out of tensions, and this is something I heard earlier today from a minister who was speaking, and I thought it was very true, was, you know, when situations like this arise, that is when countries are challenged the most. And that is when you actually see them performing much better than they otherwise would, because, I mean, it's a constraint in a way, right? And it's really about how do you break out of that constraint. So I think that's where we are going to be seeing India as well. And, you know, I think as we move towards 2047 to become a Viksit Bharat, as we move towards becoming more Atmanirbhar, I think all of those shifts will happen.
Right. We have also seen the momentum of growth actually surprisingly fast in India. You know, if you look at the quarterly GDP numbers as well, you expect this trend to continue?
I think so. I think in India, from a growth standpoint, I think we are poised to grow very well, because the growth numbers are based on very key, one, demographic criteria, because a large part of India is under the age of 35. And in every economy globally, when you see, when almost 60-65% of your population is at is the youth in a way, the next 10 years is that golden period or the Goldilocks era. And that's why you see massive growth. So I think that, coupled with the policy consistency we have seen, coupled with policy enablements we have seen, and coupled with the kind of faith that the government has put on private players as well from a business and industry standpoint to be able to take the lead and drive growth, I think all of these will result in continued growth for the country.
Absolutely. Shashwat, well, thank you so much for joining us, and look forward to catching up with you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.